Okay, so now that you've got a picture of where you're at, let's move on to addressing some of the elements of productivity. So we'll start with the first key element, which is space. Again, this is the general order of your workspace. Ordering your office minimizes time spent looking for stuff. You know, the stuff that was there just a moment ago. You also know where to put stuff when it arrives, and it allows you to respond quickly when unexpected work shows up. Now, some of us look at being organized as being a bit too anal or obsessive, or I don't have time to get and stay organized is a common objection. But the truth is that when we experience those periods of flow, those times in our day or week when we're our most productive, the last thing we want is to be thrown off track by being unable to find some crucial piece of information or by not having the tools we need readily available. We're not aiming for perfection here, but it's training yourself to operate from a default position of organized, which means you're more likely to experience regular periods of super productive flow. The point here is that organized equals productivity. So, on that note, do you dress your office for success? You dress up to go to work or to meet a client, but do you dress up your office? And even if you don't have clients come to your office, you still want your space to make you feel productive and creative. You want to feel confident about knowing what you're going to be working on next. So here's a few things to keep in mind for your ideal workspace. First of all, prime real estate. Regardless of whether you've got a nice big office or a cubicle or even less, you only want to keep what you really need and use in that space because it's prime. You don't have as much space as you think. You can't keep everything. So eliminate the superfluous stuff. It's estimated that 80% of the stuff that we keep, we file, all that is never ever used or referenced again. So can you reduce it by even 40%? Now here's an idea for you. If you happen to have a lot of piles of stuff sitting around and they've been there for a while, turn it upside down and then go through it in that order. Because likely the stuff on the bottom isn't relevant anymore, or maybe it's been done already, and then it's a lot easier to let it go. This also helps you build your letting go muscle. You want your office to reflect the way that you work. An example is paper versus electronic. Maybe you've inherited an office that came with a filing cabinet full of documents and files, but you happen to be very digitally inclined and paperless. So clear out those file drawers and make space for other items that you do need to keep. Of course, you want to make it comfortable. So for example, a monitor stand so that you're not hunched over when you're working, or a small stool for your feet if you happen to be short and the back of your legs gets really sore. Proximity is based on use. Everything that you need and use regularly needs to be within arm's reach and easily accessible. The less often you use it, of course, the further away it can be. And also think vertical. This is for the stuff that you do need to keep on your desktop. So what kind of tools and products can you use that'll help you take advantage of the vertical space as well? Now, I do have a link on the resource page to my Pinterest page for products and ideas on what I think work really, really well. So you may want to reference that. And I've also provided a couple of examples for you in this section for you to look at as well. You want to designate a place for the incoming stuff, preferably not on your desktop. Do you remember that desks are for working at, not storing stuff? And I'm not just talking about the top of your desk either. I'm also talking about the drawers in your desk as well. Clean out your drawers, so to speak, and use them for the stuff that you really do need. Quit keeping everything. The goal here is to have just enough stuff that you use, that's use, easily accessible. Don't underestimate the value of an organized workspace and its relation to productivity, because all those piles and displaced things are distractions. Now, in your workbooks on pages 13 to 15, I've provided some additional tips on how to organize your workspace as well as your files. And additionally, on page 16, if simplifying all of your information, that's your paper files, digital files, and email files, is something that is of interest to you or even your group at work, have a look at the CODA-PAO system. I've used this structure for years, and I think it simplifies the way that I file and locate my information. Now I've attached a white paper that describes the filing system for your reference. It's also on your reference page on my website. So that's it for this section. See you in the next one.